Warm greetings. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resources Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Dr. Bhargav and currently holding the position of National President of the Wiki Water Resources Council and also the founder director of W4W Foundation. Today in this session, we are here to listen and know more about Vanitha Mohan and her team from Siruthuli. I hope I have pronounced it rightly. Yes. So welcome Vanitha and thank you so much for agreeing to have this interaction and also agreeing to share your experiences with us in your journey of water. So before I invite you to have your statement of opening remarks and all, let me just introduce you briefly for keeping it on record. And it's really privileged to have you also as part of the Wiki Water Resource Council of the Coimbatore chapter. But otherwise, Vanitha Mohan is the chairman of Precall Limited, the Precall Rural Development Program. Under her leadership, they have initiated several community development activities, such as water harvesting, afforestation, tribal welfare, and health care for the community in and around. It's a very difficult name for me, but I'm going to try it out. Yeah, Periyan Kapalaya. So I hope you are going to correct me later on. So Vanitha is also the Vice President of Residents Awareness Association of Coimbatore, which aims to create an Azagana Kowai, which I think she's going to explain more about it, through effective garbage management initiatives. She has served as the first woman president of the 93-year-old Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry at Coimbatore. Her initiative to bring together business leaders of districts of western part of Tamil Nadu under the umbrella of Kongu Global Forum to work on the holistic development of Kongu region has yielded several results. She's also the recipient of many awards in the sphere of women achievers. Just to name a few, Abdul Kalam Seva Ratna Award for her contribution in the sphere of water conservation from the Dalai Lama. She's also been recently conferred with Nanneri Chemmal Award by the Governor of Kerala and former Chief Justice of India under the aegis of Nanneri Kajagam. Please excuse me for all the pronunciation, Vanitha, because I know I did terrible in these pronunciations, but welcome to the Monday Munching with Women for Water. We are excited to have you in our session and eager to hear and learn from you. And with your due permission, may I start with my inquiries? Yeah?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mansi.
Okay. So let me just take you back few years or many years ago for that matter. How do you associate your career with water endeavors and when did it start? When did you realize that, oh, this is where I find the purpose of my life? So who would like to hear about it?
I think it started more than 25 years ago. And I grew up in a home where my parents were only talking about what the future is going to be as far as natural resources are concerned, both water and air. So that was something which was there. Water was being spoken about very frequently. And then I grew up when I was growing up. Sujini, awareness convener, she also can vouch for it. We grew up with the river. It's called the Noyel, which flows through the city. It was always flowing. It was a perennial river. And then we lost sight of it. Slowly, we didn't even realize that we were losing it. But one thing which was very prominent was one of the prime lakes of the city, which is called Valankulam, right in the middle of the city. That is a water body which we grew up seeing being full, and which used to have a lot of birds and fish and stuff like that. Then we saw it going down and down and down, and then finally what we saw were puddles of sewage with a lot of encroachments. The State Transport Corporation bringing their depots into it and their bus stand and so on and so forth. And then even then we didn't know what was happening around us, because we were growing up, bringing up our children and so on and so forth. Then suddenly we realized, hey, we are getting water stressed. There's no water. Water which we used to get almost every day went down to once in 5 days, once in 10 days, once in 12 days. And what's happening? Coimbatore was never like that. Coimbatore is always known for its sweet Sirvani water. Sirvani is a reservoir that we have close by, and it's known for its sweet water. It's supposed to be the second most tastiest water in the world. But all that became a myth. It became a pipe dream sort of a thing. And that's when we said, let's do something about it, find out where we went wrong. So when we went to the collector to tell him that something could be done, he said, no, there's no water in the river. That's it. So we asked him, why is there no water? That the government does not have an answer. They just say there's no water. So we did a trek back to the origin of the river to see where it originated and what were the hiccups. And what we saw was so beautiful. Those days, 400 years ago, when the Chera kings were there, and partly some Chola kings also, they had created all these water bodies more as a flood mitigation mechanism. If Kaveri went, it is one of the tributaries of Kaveri. So when Kaveri went into, had floods, one of the reasons was this river, Noyal. So that is the amount of water we had in the river, and all got lost because slowly we started neglecting the river, neglecting the streams, which are the feeder streams for the river. All of that disappeared. So then we mapped that. It gave us an opportunity to map the entire thing. And then what we had on our hands was a beautiful map of the Noyal River Basin. Then in 2003, with about 3 years of continuous monsoon failure and drought, the water situation became really, really bad. At 1,200 feet, there was no water from the bore wells. And the Sirvani reservoir, the commissioner said we have water only for the next 15 days. And after that, we don't know what we're going to do. So that's how appalling the situation was. So then we said, let's do something. Before it was a kind of a do or die kind of a situation. So we thought, let's do something instead of sitting around a table and talking theory. Let's get into action and take up one water body, clean it up, and see what can be done. And that's when we were absolute novices when it came to doing something for water bodies. So we requested Dr. Rajendra Singh, the waterman of India.
Yes.
We invited him to come and advise us whether we are doing the right thing, because the farmers in the adjoining lands discouraged us. They said, I think you're wasting your time. Why don't you just put your money to better uses? You're wasting your money and you're wasting your time. So when he came, he looked at the entire water body and he said, if there's no water here, there's no water anywhere. You look at the Western Ghats in the background, all the water that falls on the Western Ghats naturally has to come down into the valley. And you be ready with your bartan. That's what he said. You be ready with your bartan and your bartan will fill up. And sure enough, with just 2 days of rain, because we cleared the canal which brought water to this particular water body. And anyway, half of it was already encroached. We just had half of it available for us to diesel. The entire water body filled up. It was celebration time for Coimbatore because people had not seen so much of water in one single spot, brimming with water and overflowing to the next and to the next and to the next. And then there was no stopping us. After that, we just went on to restore more. We have restored close to about 40 lakes and ponds. And then one led to another. Then we realized there is so much more to be done than just, restoring water bodies. You need to do afforestation because there was so much of urbanization taking place in Coimbatore. The victim will be, first thing would be the trees. And then any space that is available for water to percolate, all that was all cemented up. So there was no place for the water to percolate into your ground. So then we got into creating rainwater harvesting structures wherever there was water stagnation. So we have created almost 900 plus rainwater harvesting structures. So
Wow.
wherever there was water stagnation, especially in open spaces, in school playgrounds, all the water gets taken in within a matter of a few hours. So all this has given us a lot of confidence. And as a result, where we did not have water at 1,200 feet, in some places we have water at 30 feet, 40 feet.
Wow.
That's why we call ourselves Sirutuli. Sirutuli is small drops. Small drops make an ocean. So little by little, we still have a very, very long way to go. If you ask us, how far have we proceeded on our journey? Probably about 5%.
I can
5%
imagine that, but that's your humble way of saying.
we still have a very, very long way to go. But having said that, it has to become a people's movement. Water has to become a people's movement. And like you rightly said, Mansi, and I think it's a great initiative that you have taken, that women should lead from the front as far as water is concerned. I think a lot can be done if women lead the movement, because women appreciate and they struggle to ensure that water is there for the family, right? So I think pretty much I would say in Coimbatore it has become a people's movement, and yes, a lot more women can participate in it. That would really make a lot of difference.
Yeah, we will talk about it more in the following conversation. Thank you so much for giving this opening remark and also an overview of how Coimbatore is building its resilience for water crisis, which is coming all over. So that's a very good overview you gave us. I come back to you, Vanitha, as a woman, because this whole discussion is about what it is to be woman in the sector. Because for many, many years in the recent time, although traditionally women were very, very prominent in the water sector in terms of taking charge of community decisions and all, but of late we have seen that water sector has been a patriarchal domain, and women have been sometimes at the back foot. But listening to Coimbatore's story, uh, in fact, your life experience is story for me. It looks that women have been at the forefront and doing a lot of activities to ensure that there is some water for everybody for long time. So it, like as it is said, SDG 5, to all, for all, and forever. But let me come back to the woman aspect of it. You being a woman, what kind of opportunities and challenges did you realize when you started this whole water journey? And what do you think that things have changed over the years? How many years have passed? Like 2 decades, I hear from you from 2003. So how was it then? Do you see any changes being women in the sector? What is your experience about it and your team's experience for that matter?
Now, 20 years, and yes, being a woman has its challenges. 1 minute, Tina, can you switch off your video, please? Yeah, thank you. Um, uh, Being a woman, first, uh, people looked at us as why would they be interested in water?
Yes.
And oh, they have an ulterior motive. Maybe they want to get into politics, they want to do
Uh-huh.
something different. So, otherwise, why would women want to get
Why would
that kind of a thing? Because it's totally, women are meant only to fetch water, carry water for the household,
yes.
and there ends their role. But then, crusading for water, crusading for making sure lakes and ponds are protected, rivers restored, is something which was very new to this part of the country, I would say. But having said that, seeing is believing, right? And when people get the uh, message loud and clear that we don't have
Uh-huh.
any other intention, and that is where awareness plays a very big role. Like what Sujini was saying,
Mm-hmm.
we have been focusing, putting in a lot of our efforts into creating awareness is primarily among school kids and college students.
Uh-huh.
So then through the schools and colleges, we touch base with the professors, the lecturers, and then the school managements, the college managements, and slowly the word spreads. And then when the last 3 years have been bad again in Coimbatore, and all that is again due to poor water management. We don't manage
Yes.
water properly. We take water for granted. And you think, okay, the lakes are all full, the ponds are all full, so all's well with the world. No, it's not all's well with the world. Because right now, what we have is the lakes and ponds have all been used as sewage, space for sewage. The government has found it very convenient to let the sewage into
Yes.
these restored water bodies. The water bodies which were otherwise filled to the brim with silt and garbage,
Yes.
after we cleaned it up, there's so much of storage capacity that has been created. So it has become a very convenient place for them to let their sewage into the water, into these water bodies. So much that your groundwater contamination is unimaginable. Out of about
Yes.
5 wards, out of 100 wards, only about 5 or 6 wards in Coimbatore have potable water. The rest is all, you can't touch the water. It is so bad.
But it's
So
also
all
pollution
this,
happening both surface and ground.
the common man is not aware about that.
Mm-hmm.
All he's
Mm-hmm.
concerned about is, I open my tap, do I get water? That's it.
Yes.
If I get
Mm.
water, then I just go about doing my own work. My priorities are different. My priority is not water. When water becomes the priority for a
Mm.
human being, that's when I think we'll have a less stressed water situation.
I can imagine that. But when we talk about women facing challenges in the society, but at the same time, there are, motivated women like you and also many other. I see Sujani here, Tina, uh, uh, and Sudha here as well, who are probably part of your team and diligently working with you. I wish to understand from you again, bringing the conversation back to women in the water sector, and the focus is more on being women. Uh, how it is for professional women like you to really carry on your professional work, and also fight it out in the society being woman, but not now probably in your career, but in the early stage and all. But you can reflect upon how young women are also facing this in today's time, but looking at your time, how it is to really balance work at home and also balance it through doing some motivational aspects. Working in a job is completely different than following a passion which requires more rigor, and following something which is more societal and not really personal goal that I want to reach here or become this or that. Subject like water is a social goal, not a personal goal for that matter. So how it is taken by the family, by the society, and where do you think that women are really trying and working their way out to balance their life and profession?
It's a good question, Mansi. One is passion,
Yes.
but beyond passion, it is a very deep rooted fear of the future.
Yes.
Now, I okay, run a business. We keep expanding our business. For,
Yes.
for what? For our children, right?
Good.
For our
Uh,
children, our grandchildren, all that is there. But beyond everything, I think we have a moral responsibility to
yes.
ensure that they have everything that is required. It's not just money and wealth.
Yes.
They
Yes.
need to have
Clean,
clean air to
clean air,
breathe and
clean water.
safe water to drink. And if that is going to be a challenge, do you think you will have a conscience which is free of guilt?
Yes.
And as it is, I feel guilty sometimes. Why did I not take it up earlier? Because I've seen
Yeah.
oil flowing, and why is it that we have been passive spectators?
Yes.
And if you're not going to do
Most of.
that, I think we
Mm,
have a huge responsibility. That's
yes.
how I look at it. So it is
Mm,
more a commitment to when I say my family, it's the future generations,
yeah.
right? It is not just my children. It's not that, I create something and then, no. Thinking of the future generations, what is it that we are leaving behind for them? It's very, very scary if you look at the
Yes.
kind of the water quality that is available today. E. coli contamination is very common.
Yes.
And E. coli is not something which enters your system. It's for life. You'll have such a big battle to get it out of your system. So these are all things which really which are intrinsic to life.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Money, in my opinion, money, wealth, all that is secondary. What you need to do is to ensure you have a good environment to live, to survive, not just live. Even survival is going to become a huge challenge considering the present conditions of the environment.
Yes,
One small example is
absolutely.
during COVID, the way people were running for oxygen, although it
Yes.
was only for a short period of time, the kind of horror stories we heard
Yeah.
about people struggling and dying because they could not gain access to an
Yeah.
oxygen cylinder, right? This is going to
Yeah.
become a way of life in the future. So what we are doing
For
is,
water also. For water
yes,
also, we are there are people running around already. We are
yes,
privileged.
mm,
So this is scary. I mean, and you make it really very very explicit that we have to understand that we are already sitting in a very scary situation, and of course for grandchildren and further, it's going to be absolutely I mean bizarre situation which I think we cannot imagine at this point. Even if you are well off, financially well off, also may not be able to escape this situation
no,
where we are heading at this point in time. So so if there are women who are working on this, and this whole Wiki Water Resource Council and other women platforms which are there around the world, and there is now a lot of effort from United Nations to the government of India to the state governments, where women are really looked very high to engage in many many sectors including water. I wish to understand from you, from your life journey, because we are celebrating women leadership, and we are inviting people like you must have realized in your own journey that there aren't many women leaders in the sector, and and there are I mean, there are more men, let me put it that way, and lesser women in the sector working in the water sector, probably. Maybe Coimbatore is an exceptional example, and few more exceptional examples, of course. But if there are lesser women, and those women who are working, it becomes extremely difficult for them to be acknowledged and appreciated within the fraternity, within the family and friends, whatever work they are doing in the water sector. Why do you think this is the case with the women in water sector? I mean, it applies to all professional sectors also. What is the reason? Where is the problem of presence and participation of women in the water sector?
one thing is lack of awareness of the consequences of water being exploited and
Hmm,
when it is endangered.
hmm,
I, I I haven't reached that situation where I'm desperate, right? And
yeah,
for a woman, there are a lot more things that she has to attend to, right?
yes,
Family, and now balancing a family and her profession. Today, most of the women are working, so they have
hmm,
to balance their profession, balance the family, and then the last thing that I worry about is water there
yes,
because it is still available, right? So when there is a situation, water is stressed. Okay, this is summer, chalega, monsoon will come and everything, all will be okay. No, they don't realize inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, we are moving towards a situation where it is going to be hell,
hmm,
right? So,
yeah,
lack of awareness. People are not aware of how bad things can get. And today, your education also is not, I feel there's a lot that educational policy can influence in creating awareness about the environment, protection of environment. I think more than anything else, we'll have to teach children about the importance of the environment and the protection of it. Now, that is sadly lacking. See, when we
hmm,
have this nature camps, we find the children when they come. We have what is called nurture nature camps. Can I ask Sujini to talk about it?
Yes, sure. Please join in. Even Sujani, Tina, Sudha, if you want to add to this conversation, just let
Yes.
me know, raise your hand, and I'm going to get you on board.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sujani, please add.
Thank you. This Nurture Nature Camp we've been handling for the past 16 years. And as gratifying as it is, it was appalling for us because many times when children came in, even basic, they had no clue. Many of them, when we took them, there is an agricultural college here, and we took them there for a day's outing. And they were shocked to say that milk came from cows and not from packets from supermarket. I mean,
Okay.
it's that scary. Like Vanitha
The
said,
water comes from the tap, not from
tap,
the
yes, yes.
rivers or
Yeah. So this is what education lacks. We are very good with what the syllabus gives and what the textbooks have to say, but life and living, we find there's a huge gap in that. And but the 100 children that we handle every year, they go back really, really amazed. They're so grateful, and they later come back as children who carry the message across. They take it back to their families. They take it back to the schools. And I think this is, though it's a small sector, 100 students where there are 50,000 or a lakh of students in the city. And they also understand they're privileged, but this is huge, and we understand this is where we have to start for a child
Yes.
to know the importance of water, of nature, of trees, of soil, everything, and living. Everything else, this pandemic has taught us that Google Acharya you can learn from home.
That is true. You know, in our education system, when we are talking about less is taught about water and environment, and being a researcher from the field of women as well, I feel even it is teaching less about women. One of the reason why lot of effort goes by women, which goes unnoticed. I mean, now United Nations is saying now, I think I read Tamil Nadu's High Court judgment last week when it said that a lot of things about women who are homemakers, how it should be, what should be, the property relationships with the spouse, then homemaker should be paid as I mean, their value of income is as good as any professional person. So all these things are coming up, but somewhere in education we are I use the word Neer and Nari. Somewhere in education, we are missing about teaching both Neer as well as Nari. And because this conversation is more focused on women, so I'm adding to it. Of course, we are not teaching much about water. Not to your surprise, probably I can share some of my experience of getting into what water education is in India. There are very few handful of water courses in the country, and if you look and compare it with other courses, I mean, I give this example at many platforms. We have more fashion degrees than water degrees in the country. You may laugh at me, but that's the truth. you know but let me come back to being woman in the water sector, and I would like to understand from you, Vanitha, or all three of you other girls present here, what kind of skills do you think women should, develop for themselves to be able to be noticed? Because I'm putting a lot of stress on visibility of the woman in the sector because it is also about future of other women. It is also about bringing a change because the way masculinity has creeped into the water sector, if more and more women comes in, I am hoping, I may be wrong, but the eco-feministic approach of doing water matters may change. So what kind of additional skills or do you think that women should really nurture for themselves, or women should really help other women get those skills for them to be acknowledged and appreciated in whatever work they are doing? And this, I mean, in this conversation, we are focusing on in the water sector. So maybe I will just stop here to hear from you.
Sudha, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, maybe just also switch on your camera, please, because that will be
Yeah,
wonderful.
I just returned from work, so I don't think I'll switch on my camera. I'm sorry.
Sure, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, Vanitha. And Mansi, that was a good question. Basically, for women to really come out, because since we're talking about how we are balancing work, how we are balancing our passion, and also our family, I think the great inspiration for us as a team is from the leader that I always inspire. That's Vanitha. Because you know how she is, and the way the whole city is inspired. That's what I could actually see. So basically, what I feel is we really need to be self-motivated in the first place, because I have to take myself as an example. I belong to a very a simple middle class family, born and brought up from Coimbatore. And then again, school, college, and work, and then got married in the same place. And then now I was working at a place, and now I'm helping my husband, and we have our own industry. So for a woman, basically, to balance everything, there is some amount of or major amount of self motivation that's required, because that's one thing that really is required for women to come out and do things for their passion. See, I have my job, I have my family to take care, and then I am with Sirtuli and part of Vanitaka's team for quite some time now. And every one of us really now feel that we are water warriors. So that's one thing that we have been looking at and doing. So I think it's basically inside a woman, where she need not have any inhibition, and she has to come out for herself and just not look at family or anybody to push and come to that particular stage. So I have to take my own example, and that's what I would like to tell. Yeah.
Thank you, Sudha. I would still extend this question further to Vanitha, and also Tina and Sujani may add in. There are certain skills which are required for women to really make a deeper impact. So we know we are looking at Vanitha, and if we want to have, every city and town should have Vanitha. So what are mother of every city for that matter? So,
It is
so
Mansi, people like
no,
Mansi
so I'm
who
just
taken the
looking at
lead
what kind
across
of
the town.
skills, what kind of skills we should give the younger women. So we need to understand what kind of leadership skills are required for women to make an impact.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question.
Mansi, can I
Please go
say
ahead. Go
something?
ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want to actually say something about women, which is intrinsic in her, intrinsic in us,
Yes. One thing is
multitasking.
intrinsic. One thing is intrinsic.
Multitasking, we are much more capable of than men. That is a globally proven fact. And
Yes.
another thing that we have as an obstacle is the expectations, society expectations. Society expectation says a woman has to put her family first. That is, family is her world.
Yes.
And beyond that,
But
when she
family
goes,
has to get
the
water.
expectations of the family is, why don't you do this? Why do you do this for the society?
And
they say, another thing they like to say is, charity begins at home.
Yeah.
So a little heckling is there when woman wants to do something, especially from the lower and middle class sectors. But you know what we have, and what Sirutli has created is a feel good when we are together. The bonding we have, that a sense of having done something that matters.
Yes.
So that is the motivation. So consider this an opportunity than as an obligation.
Absolutely.
Few of us, not everybody. Those who have experienced it, I would say we have done it as an appreciation for nature and an opportunity that is for us to make us feel better about ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that is
and
there.
Also future generation.
Yes, and that motherliness, that to care about, what could go wrong. That fear is also very intrinsic to us.
Yes,
so
the concern is there deeper.
Yeah. So as I think in Coimbatore also, I feel that more women can contribute to this than men, but there are some barriers. So
Yeah,
these
so
barriers can be overcome. Right now, I am
yes,
multitasking.
absolutely. Mm.
I am doing things and I am participating also. So this technology is helping. So there's a choice for me
Absolutely.
to be part of a meeting and still be part of what is happening in my house. So
Yes,
that is
absolutely.
great. Yeah, that is
So,
great. And
so the
another thing that
technology
you were saying,
friendly, women have to be
no,
technology
I'm
friendly.
actually a
Yes,
little bit
yes.
Stone Age only, you should say. not not very much Stone Age, but as you would expect from my generation.
Yes,
So, but I can
absolutely.
use Zoom. No, that's good enough. So
Yeah,
another thing,
absolutely.
what I meant is when you were talking about the water having to go to the lakes. So we
Mm.
have taken a different take now. We do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of rainwater harvesting here.
Mm.
So we say that where the water pours, immediately if you can take it down to the aquifers,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
cleaner and it
Yeah.
avoids flooding and whatever
Yeah.
comes with it. And what,
Yeah.
because of the terrain's slope, water will get into these ponds.
Yes.
But
Yes.
first, when we did this desilting, what got into the ponds were dirt, solid waste, and sewage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's where we thought of bringing in other things: afforestation, solid waste management, awareness. Now we brought in
Mm-hmm.
farmers also. So
Mm-hmm.
water has become part of a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be in order to be addressed comprehensively.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, and then that's what we've been doing. And even now we find that when we go to give invite people to come and join us in this what Sujni calls
Mm-hmm.
crusade, for water.
Mm-hmm.
The,
Yes.
the knowledge that there is a crusade itself, they don't understand. There
Yes.
has to be. We have to consciously, deliberately do something to make sure that future is secured.
Yeah.
So
Future is
that,
at
that
risk and we have
Yeah.
to do something.
as
May
we
I
have,
say something?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
please
yeah,
go ahead, Sujani. Please go ahead.
No,
that's it.
like you earlier said, one thing that struck me, you said there's more in fashion, that's happening than what's happening with water and nature. So I think, and women, they all know when push comes to shove, they don't have water at home. They are the first ones who are to
Yes.
suffer. And
Yes.
they have to, it has to become fashionable, I think, to reach some women to be strong enough to say yes, because they are the ones who have to make a change at home. And each
Yes,
one takes it
absolutely.
upon them to make their home water positive in whatever way.
Absolutely.
Then there's no problem and she can walk tall with it. And this is what we are trying to reach with everybody. So that is why we think telling the students to take it back, each one home. So, the student community takes it back to their homes. The mothers are the ones we tell them who have to come out and say, in my home, we harvest the rainwater, we use diffusers and all the different ways in which they cut down on waste of water and then call themselves water warriors brings them a lot of pride that immediately she walks taller. So the woman, yes, her part in helping her realize her strength is these are the messages we need to take, because all of us are strong. It's just that most of us are diffident, or some of us say, oh, what can I do? Somebody else do it. And so that is a big thing that Vanitha, all of us, she's helped and leading from the middle, saying that each one do it and we can. We shouldn't and we don't have to wait around for somebody else to start. That's why these little drops circulate. So women
very
in
well
water
put.
is if water has to be saved, the woman has to be out there, standing outside, making a noise and making a difference.
Absolutely. And that's where I always put the words women and water together. In Hindi also, it comes very much together, neer or nari.
Nari, yeah.
Sorry, pardon me for, just give me a moment.
So talking of skills, how do you empower women? How do you develop the
What are
skills?
those extraordinary skills, Vanitha? Because when you and I started, none of us are here water expert, we are
Not at
learning
all.
by doing. So
Not
what
at
kind
all.
of skill sets we can give to the future generation?
So
The
one
time
thing
which
is,
we took as 20 years, they can do it in 2 years.
yeah, no, unless that becomes a nationwide policy,
Yes.
water is given today, I'm sorry to say, water is being given least priority. Somewhere
Yes.
there's a drought, immediately they go. You are just reacting. You're not being proactive.
It's
Okay?
more cure
Water
approach,
has
not
to
preventive.
be given priority more than anything else, more than your healthcare, more than your education, more than anything else. Water, 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 water. Going forward, I think water has to be given so much of thrust that people should be constantly meditating on water. Going forward,
Yes.
that's going to be the biggest challenge, right? And I'd like to share a small incident with you. We were working on one of the, it's a slum, okay? It was very bad. There was a lot of sewage stagnating there, and the people there requested us to clean it up and create a little park there for them. So it was just about 10 cents of land. We cleaned up the entire place and did a little bit of a tree planting and a small park.
Mm-hmm.
So while we were there, we realized that the entire lane, that particular colony, did not have water connection. They used to walk, the women used to walk 2 kilometers every day to go bring pots and pots of water. So they requested us, can you please put in a word to the corporation and get us a water connection? So with a lot of pleading and prodding, we were able to get them a connection. 2 months later, when we went there was this water connection, the tap, there was a pot underneath, and the water was overflowing. The woman was standing there chatting with her neighbor. The water was just going for waste. I was livid. I said, how can you be so careless? You were walking 2 kilometers every day for one pot of water, and now you don't have any qualms about you're taking water for granted.
Yes.
Right? Why did that happen? Because there is no policy of monitoring water. How is Israel
awareness.
with a percentage, a small percentage of the annual rainfall that they are getting? How are they able to manage their water so beautifully? It is because of the government's policy. It is because of the discipline, water discipline that has been ingrained into the people. And as long as we have politicians who are not looking at water, who are only looking at how much of uh, uh, monetary gains then they can get out of selling water, where is the question of skilling? Where is the question of creating more women leaders in the sphere of water? Sweta, you wanted to say something.
So,
I think
sorry, I was
that is
actually,
where we need more women, because it's all, that's what I call it, masculine approach of water management, because it's all about money then. So I'm not saying all women will do nice or all men are doing wrong, but if we have more women, there is a hope that the practice of water management will be cleaner, as compared to the corrupt practice which we have. So thank you, Shweta, for joining. Over to you. You want to add something here?
yeah, so sorry, I was listening on YouTube earlier because somehow my link was not working. Eventually, I figured out what the problem with the link was, so I'm back on Zoom now. So one thing is, right now we have elections, and I don't see any politician's manifesto fixing the water.
Yes, there is no water. There is
And
no
people are
water
going
in
to
the
vote for them
political
regardless.
manifesto.
So what we have done in Mumbai, at least, we are meeting with all the candidates. With Mumbai March, there's an organization I'm working with locally.
Yes.
We made a manifesto, and locally we're meeting with each of the candidates and saying, you need to include this in your manifesto. And that has all the water bodies and all the work around water bodies that needs to happen in Mumbai, including Methi River and the walls they've made in Methi River, all of that. So, I mean, of course, Mumbai has a whole different world of problems when it comes to water. But having said that, we have to start somewhere.
Water
Absolutely.
water can become an area of crime going forward.
Yeah.
Yes, it is becoming. Water, the tanker mafia is a crime.
You can have water mafias, right?
Yes.
Because
There is
it's going to
already.
be, it is
In
already.
Mumbai, is.
And
There is
the
Mumbai. They don't
manifestos that we made sure that our candidates included water first on their priority.
see, that is important.
Okay, very good.
So in Mumbai, there's a tanker mafia. So
Yeah, so that is where we got, it's already there.
Here
And
also we have. Here also we have. In the last few days when the water is, everybody is dry, they'll just push it by 2 more days so that they'll order tankers.
That's
There is
also
definitely a
something
nexus.
where we see some nexus between the
Yes,
government officers,
yes,
and this is a
definitely.
beautiful movie. We actually showcased the movie in our last water festival. Shweta, you were there
Yeah.
on what tanker mafia, you know. So we are already
Sabotage.
engaging in lot of water crimes intentionally and uh, unintentionally sometimes. But I mean, because the discussion is more about women in this field, yeah, we have to be hopeful, and we started with this discussion only that more women means actually we have to be hopeful that the scenario of water will be changed or towards
Yes,
better or resilience, because
yes,
women are more concerned about water, the motherly nature, and all kinds of things. But
right.
so, if we are talking about women leaders in the sector, there are some, some skill sets which are required. First of all, of course, to have a collective, like your case in Siruthuli, that establishing a collective requires a good leader, and then motivated soldiers, I will say, the crusaders. These are very important. But
Yeah,
if we are talking about creating, women collective in every city, we need to understand how I mean, for example, your Coimbatore case can be a case study for us to study. How can we have
yes,
Siruthili Thuli like of women collectives? And there are other women collectives also. I mean, Shweta and I also had a discussion with what Jal Saheli on this very platform. So there are some skill sets or patterns which we can learn from women who are forming these collectives and how they are going after ensuring to address the water problems of their city, town, or village or region for that matter. And I think that's a good subject of research. And I need to find a very motivated researcher to dive into this subject and find out what kind of, because I'm keen to understand women leadership. Water is one part of it. Of course, the main part of it, because our subject area is around water, but where are women investing in water? How are they investing? What kind of opportunities and challenges they face? And that's where I now start my last section of the questions to you, Vanita, and your team on understanding the role of platforms and associations, which I already started talking about as collectives. Because coming together and discussing a cause, in this case, water, it can be any other cause also. The role of collectives, role of platforms, role of associations. Where do you think women professionals who otherwise, when they are practicing solo, or working in some organization, they really do not get that platform to elevate themselves to leadership? What do you think is the role of collective platform or association in your point of view? I mean, you have been in Wiki for now 2 years. So I would like to understand, how do you see these platforms are beneficial or useful for women to be part of?
So platforms and collectives are very, very useful, Mansi. Very important, in fact,
Uh-huh.
because that becomes your springboard to
Mm.
leap forward, right?
Yes.
But people are nervous to get onto this platform only because they feel water is a terrain which is very challenging. There's no discipline among people. So, what can one person go and make a difference? See, I've been talking to my friends in Chennai and Bangalore. Now, while they appreciate the work that we are doing here in Coimbatore, they say we don't have the guts that you people have. It's not a question of guts, it's a question of taking the plunge, because once you get into the plunge, and then just like we have so many members, we have close to about 30 uh, water warriors as apex members who are taking up different roles and responsibilities to disseminate the message. It is
Mhm.
very, very important that these forums become more visible, more
Mm.
active, and more encouraging. Now,
Yes.
I want to do something, but I feel I won't get that. You take a social organization, right?
Yes.
You're talking about fashion, technology, something like that. People immediately rally around because that is
Yes.
something which is not challenging at all.
Mhm.
Like what shall I say? Mm, a ladies' organization for
Yes.
different things. It could be different things,
Yes.
anything but water and environment. They rally around because it's easy. There'll be a
Yes.
lot of people to join the bandwagon. But when it comes to something like this, so that's why I insist on a water policy which the government gives, which they have to give priority to water and make it mandatory that everybody starts participating. Government has a very big role. And, in fact, I was talking to the members of CII, and when I was sharing some of the concerns that we have in the water sector, in the field in which we are working, they said it's an eye-opener for us. We never looked at, water, coming to water tankers, right? Now, it is not as if I have a pre-designated area from which I can take water.
Yes.
I take it from your area, I take it from Mansi's area, I take it from everyone's area. And how fair is it for me to commercialize it? I have not contributed it. I have not, like few in foreign countries, like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they have to give back X number, 1x or 2x number of times the water that they withdraw for their consumption. We don't have a rule like that. So that's why I'm talking about water mafia. Now, when water becomes more and more stressed, there will be more and more people getting into that field, drilling bore wells and drawing water.
Absolutely.
Right? One more incident that I would like to share with you. Recently, I met a person, and real estate is booming everywhere. Whether any other industries,
That's the irony. Yes.
Ripping the society up. Now, this gentleman said that he's promoting a site, about 800 sites. When he said 800, my ears and
I can imagine how you must have
how
felt.
many borewells? I asked him how many borewells. He said 25 borewells, 5 cents. All was 5 cents, one ground. Okay, one ground. He said 25 borewells. I said 25 borewells on 800 sites. He said, yes, only 25 people are building their homes now. So each one has a borewell. And once all the 800 sites will have 800 borewells. Can you imagine 800 borewells on 40 acres of land? Now, does this not warrant a water policy where you are monitoring what you're taking and are you replenishing it?
Yes.
Once you have
And no
water,
no pond in the site.
yes. So all this, I think we really have to drive for a national policy for water.
So
We
just
do
if I may,
have, but these are not tapped in the national policy. That's the problem, because even many court judgments, we see that the courts have favored development over environment. There are many cases which go to the court, but we are always seeing that development is favored over environment. Yeah. Shweta, you were saying something. Sorry.
so we also need to start thinking what you talked about is over extraction. At the same time, pollution. Clearly, everywhere you walk, you can see sewage going in the water. It's a simple.
So
It's
we
not
are
even that
we are
part of policy.
at double loss.
Yeah,
Actually.
we're losing the water from the sewage because actually that water could be reused wherever the sewage is coming from. At the same time, the water bodies are getting ruined. So that's a very simple policy. It's not even that tricky, but they have to just implement it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not encouraging all of you to get into the water discussion more and bringing you back to the woman discussion. But we have to understand a very simple formula. The more we draw water, fresh water, either from surface water or groundwater, it is a very simple math, the simplest math anybody can understand. The more we consume fresh water, the more we produce wastewater. And we do not know where to put the wastewater. So that is why we are in a 4 times loss. But I'm going to talk about it in some other session in Wednesday or Friday, how it is 4 times loss. It's not 2 times loss. It's a 4-time loss when we draw more water and when we produce more wastewater. That is sure. 100% drawing of water and 100% producing of wastewater. And our body is a very simple example of it. So that's part of my lecture, but I want to come back to our questions on women and leadership and all, because we were discussing role of platforms, and Siruthali stands as one of the, classic example to understand how women collectives are extremely important. I would like to bring your attention on Women Water Resource Council also of the Wiki where you are part of, and to understand from you, because what kind of expectations women really look at when they look at these platforms, or what kind of even inhibitions they have to join these platforms? What do you think these platforms can offer, and what do you think women can offer to this platform? Both ways, platforms are always useful when women are making use of it. If they are not making use of it, the associations, councils, platforms, collectives are of no use. One has to exploit in a good word, in a good sense. So, how do you think? Platforms like Wiki Water Resource Council should really offer something to women professionals apart from the network. And what do you think women can offer to such platforms?
They can they can contribute a lot, except that how do you help them to break out of that self-created cocoon in which you believe that all's well? The fear of the future is what is going to, uh, break that cocoon and come out. How are we going to make that happen? We are a few, but then
Yes.
when you can show, when you can demonstrate what can be done, slowly I think people will start gravitating towards such forums, and even organizations like ladies organizations. There are so many ladies organizations.
Yes.
They will start understanding the value of taking a leadership role. Probably they have other agenda uh, on for their platforms, but I'm sure they can take up water also as a important point in their agenda. And that is where I think slowly we can penetrate into these forums, into these platforms, and then make sure that apart from whatever that organization is meant for, include water also as part of your uh, agenda. And that is where I think slowly it is going to be a very, very slow and painful process.
Of course.
But going forward and looking at the way things are happening in the sphere of water, the day is not too far off when it will hasten up the process.
Yeah.
More and more people,
Absolutely.
especially this summer in Coimbatore, has been very, very bad. It has never been so bad. So people realize, and like I told you, we have this campaign, the 75-day campaign, and we have been able to connect with a lot of people. And lots of women, especially, have attended these meetings that we had with them, and we hope we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best that they will also they've joined the bandwagon soon.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think, water is a community matter, and so more the merrier kind of situation. And if there are more women, we are already talking about the sisterhood concept, and that women are more concerned, and if they join hands. And we were already discussing in the beginning before the session started that we have some wonderful examples around the world. And I was just telling about the Lake Viva movement. So Sirutali has already started a movement in Coimbatore, and I hope many cities will start. We have already heard about Jal Saheli from Bundelkhand, and we had Kulbasan Bai from Chhattisgarh, and I'm right now in Chhattisgarh, so I'm remembering her. But we need more of these examples. That's the whole idea, and there are certain disciplines of being in collective. I mean, it's a give and take. As I mentioned, you have to offer something, and there may be some expectations out of it. So if we are really looking at building more women collectives, let's say every city has Siruthali or any other name. People will give their own names, local regional names and all. Where do we go from here? And I mean, I'm personally now asking you, Vanitha, I mean, how would you like to really take this upscale it other places? I know you have a major vision and agenda for your own region, but maybe people learn from what you tell. I mean, so how to really bring more collectives in other cities so that people start taking charge of their own problems? And here we are talking about water problems. What will be your message to the current generation women, the future generation women that come forward, or whatever? What would you like to tell them?
So I think the success stories, wherever it has happened, have to be communicated with a lot more intensity.
Yes.
Yes, what was before and what is it now? If
Yeah.
that is the success story is shared, like next week I'm going to Kerala. Kerala definitely has much better discipline for water than the Tamil Nadu. But they wanted me to go and share the success story of Sirthuli to their, they call people for Bharatpula. Bharatpula is a river, big river. So they wanted me to go and share our experience. So I think it will be a matter of time before the water wars, to address water wars. Success stories like this have to come up with a lot more intensity. It has to be shared. So once that is done, people have the confidence that we'll be able to do it. Because right now, I don't think people are shying away because they don't have the confidence. Because such a huge area, and it is something which the government has to address. Why should we get into something and this all these politicians and stuff like that? So it puts people away. So it needs a lot of courage. How do we build that courage? How do we give people the confidence that they will be able to do it? Except that they have to find like a group of like-minded people, slowly and steadily. Because today in Coimbatore we have a lot of youngsters, NGOs who have gotten into this space after Sirithuli was started. So all of them are from a very, very economically low kind of a background, but still they have taken it up because they are seeing results. And once you start seeing results, then there's no going back.
Absolutely. So I mean, it very well put. I mean, and that's where even when I'm working on my research on women in water particularly, I think that documenting and disseminating the works which have been already done is going to make a huge difference in encouraging and motivating others to engage. The fact you rightly mentioned that many times people know that this is a complex matter and it's a government's responsibility. We are often complacent, or we are often shying away from taking responsibility. But if we can document and disseminate these kind of success stories or journeys, I will not say story because then there is an end, but a journey where people are still continuing doing it, it may bring ring some bells into many more collectives. And that also tells me that I'm quite motivated to see if we can document it and even publish it, the work of Sirithali, and I will talk to you about it outside this conversation. But it gives me a kind of privilege to see if it is possible from our end, or especially I love to do these kind of documentations. But we need to find a team through Wiki. So, Shweta, you want to ask something? And maybe all of you, if you have some last comments and all, we will then wrap it up. Shweta, over to you.
So, one of the things where, in a training session where I had for Jaina Singh ji, they were all men. There was not a single woman who had come for the training. And I raised the question to all the men. So they said, "Oh, our wives don't want to come." I said, "Did you ask them the question?" They said, "No." They were not experts in water. They were just like common people trying to fix the water issues. They were doing good job for the town, but they never asked the women if they want to do the same thing. No, the women have to take care of the house and the family and the kids, and that is their responsibility. I said, did you even ask them if they wanted? So I think we need to figure out a way how to get out of this cultural barrier where the women are able to get out of the house. The whole success of Jal Saheli model is partly that, to get the women out. And even if they don't do anything in water, even if they socialize, that's a step for them to get out of the house. So I
They
think
will
we need
discuss
to
all matters.
Exactly. So as a collective, I think it's important to get the women out to whatever context might be. And they'll pick water in the process, if that's an issue in that area. So
Absolutely.
I think we as a collective need to figure that out.
Yeah, we are trying to do that but for only we are focusing on professional women who are already in the water sector. And of course, we are mentoring the younger generation we have nearly 25 young youth council members out of the near 100 council members, and they are getting mentored directly, indirectly. Any last words you would like to have, Tina and Sujani? And then I will invite Vanitha to have her last few words.
Okay.
Yes, I was thinking to add. Oh, Tina, you go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Okay. You finish.
Is that most people, I think, get intimidated by looking at the larger picture. Okay, you
Yes.
need to
complex.
understand the larger picture, but you have to take it like us in small steps. You know,
Small
when
steps.
Vanitha got into all this, it was just one tank that we started doing. So then it will encourage them, and they'll know it's doable.
It's doable. It's doable.
Yeah, you have to have the passion and drive, and who better than women leaders to get into this place? So it's very, very important that I'm sorry, this electricity went out. That they get into it, educate themselves on the larger picture and find which is the small area where they can step into and start from there. And it's very doable. It's just that, not to say, oh, it's too big, how can I do it? It is
I
big,
think it's very
but if I
valid
don't
point.
do it, I can't expect somebody else to do it.
Do it.
And I
It's
think
a
that is
very
the
valid
mantra
point.
with which Sittuli and Vanitha started off. If not us,
Very
who?
valid point. I mean, I think you really hit the nail because I mean, when we look at the complex scale and operation of water systems, we are bound to get intimidated. But then, can
Yeah.
we do our little bit? I mean, we cannot really take responsibility of 1.4 billion people of the country. But if we can just do some things on our own, so every individual has to do his or her own. So, Tina, would you like to have your last words or add something to the conversation?
Yes, Mansi. So two things that strikes me is one is prioritizing. We are not
Yes.
prioritizing water enough. And whatever
Yes.
reaching out to the community, we are not prioritizing enough. Women are not. I'm overdoing me like all of us here. And second is awareness. What to do? The problem, how dire is the problem? So
Yes.
right now I'm getting water every day. So the problem is not as pressing as it would be in the
Yes.
future. But that is
Yes.
inevitable is something people don't understand. So we
Yes.
can do something to alleviate such a future
Mm.
is something we should inculcate and spread awareness about. So what can be done? How can it be done? And we should
Mm.
do it. That must point there must be given. Then I think women have what it takes, but they should step up and do it.
And they should
So
step
that is
up and
what
do
I
it.
think.
That's a very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
line. Yeah, very good line.
Need to help
That
them.
brings me that brings me to the last question, which is actually for the future generation, because we are still very less in number as women water professionals. So India fares less than 1 in 10 water professionals. And I mean, none of us are expert here. We are just motivated and passionate to do something, and that's why we are doing. But let's say if we want to
I
see
have
a future
one
where
future
there,
generation with me.
Oh,
I
you
have this
pardon?
future generation with me. She's
Yes,
been
my
following what
last
is
question
happening.
is on that. My last
Okay.
question is in that. So, if we want to imagine a future where there are, I mean, of course, there is no water crisis, we must imagine, but let us bring the conversation back to a situation where there are equal number of women and men and other genders engaging into the water sector. To be honest, I would like to live a day where we don't have to talk about women in water. We have to talk about here is the water problem. We are human race. We are polluting it. Let us solve it. But to reach that stage, we have to really work extensively on bringing women in the forefront. So my last question to you, and also thank you all of you for joining this conversation. It is very enriching because often only one woman and me are talking, and it's good to see a collective already talking. And I'm going to invite you as a separate session on Siruthuli so that it also gets documented how the movement started. So, Vanitha, what will be your message to the younger generation to join the water sector apart from being concerned about the water crisis coming? How beautiful is the sector? How satisfying is the water sector? What message do you have for the younger people?
If not you, who can? It's
Very
only you.
nice.
So let's do it.
You also
Yeah.
say, if not now, when?
Yes, right now it's dirty, right?
Mm,
Let's look at how we can make it clean. Once
yeah.
you make clean, because nature is the best that you can ever
Yes.
enjoy, experience. So I think getting them to enjoy nature at its pristine best would be the best way to get more and more children into the network. So I'm sure children they just lap it up like sponges when you give them that experience. It is just that we have to make sure that experience is extended to the children. We'll have to work through several platforms. It is not just women's platforms, women's forums. It is through the government, it is through the men's platforms, it's through so many platforms, because it's the future generation which is going to get affected. So if we keep it in mind, I'm sure there'll be so many avenues opening up, Mansi. Initially, when we started off, it was just we wanted water for Coimbatore. But today, we want everyone to enjoy it, because we've had a very enjoyable 21 years in spite of a lot of hurdles. I can give you pages and pages of stories, the hurdles that we faced. But beyond all that, there's a tremendous sense of gratification that Mother Nature she reaches out. So all we need to do is keep doing whatever we are doing, and then slowly everything will fall into place. Slowly, Mother Nature will show us the path to tread on to ensure that we have a beautiful environment in front of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vanitha, for the wonderful words and, of course, for the overall enlightening interaction. I was really feeling that the conversation was flowing like water, and I hope in future we have our rivers and the lakes and ponds are also flowing as our conversation is flowing. I hope you also enjoyed the conversation. Honestly speaking, there have been rare situations.
Mansi, the questions you asked were very thought-provoking, and it has given us many more areas to explore and, work.
I will encourage your entire team to really document the journey of the woman. See, water is definitely important thing to discuss. But as I mentioned, the whole focus is on the life of the women who are giving their time and energy and emotions into ensuring that something is going to be better in future than what we have today, and that's what we have to work upon. So thank you all the girls also to join here and share your thoughts. May you all remain an inspiration to others. We are really grateful to have learned about your water endeavors. May you also continue your water activities and keep us posted. Likewise, we are going to do the same. We will continue with our Monday munching and music with Women for Water every Monday at 5 p.m. We have started our season 4 now, and we look forward to learning more and more from women across the country who are really giving their best into those sectors, so that we live a day when we don't have to talk about water worries, as well as when we don't have to talk about the gender imbalance in the sector. So you may please follow our social media platforms for regular updates, which is Wiki Water Resource Council social media. For now, thank you so much, and please take care of yourself and keep yourself wet. So wet in your thoughts, wet in your works and everything. Please take care, and we connect with each other very soon. I'm very excited to have Siruthuli as a separate session where more women from the organization can join and share their entire journey, as well as we can have more sessions physically as well to look at women leadership. Yeah, thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Nice meeting
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, bye.